It's just fired. I wanna see the light. See the light. I wanna see the light.
Did they miss us? Do you think they missed us?
Correa has tied it. Wow.
Every time I hear that Yuli Gurriel call, I still get excited, and it's that time of year again. The Houston Astros are in the ALCS for the 5th year in a row. Oh, did I just completely forget to address the fact that the 1203 experience is back again? Parker Ray and Rick Graff with Old Man Entertainment is back on YouTube. Man,
We did it, Reed. We did
Mom,
it.
aren't you proud?
We came back. We were dead and we came back. Oh wait, I kept saying I wasn't going to talk about death, but we are alive and well, Reed. Everyone thought, oh well, where's Parker? Nobody knows where Parker is, Reed. Reed could be anywhere. He could be in Africa. We don't know. We are back. We've been in Texas this whole time, right under your noses, you stupid idiots. Sorry. They didn't know where we were.
I feel like that's targeted at someone. I don't know who, but
I'm angry at everything.
Just the Red Sox in general.
Yeah, just Red Sox in general, just life. I'm just trying to, we're getting pumped, man. We're all back. We're in this thing. Really, I'm happy. I'm a happy person. That's actually the happiest I've been right there. Me being angry, that was like a small level of normally I'm very high anger. That was like right on track. So we're good.
Man, it has been a while since we were live here on the Old Man Entertainment YouTube channel. 3 months exact. We last came live to you 3 months ago. I had just made the move to Fredericksburg. A lot has changed in my life since then that we'll get to here in a second. Parker and I went out of our way to not catch up quite yet. Because we want to do it on the show. So we're going to talk about some of the things that we've been doing lately in our lives, and we're going to do it right here on the 1203. You're going to hear Parker and I catch up just like we could, because we decided we
only talk on the podcast.
Yeah,
we only talk on the podcast.
If we're going to hang out, it might as well be for content.
We're not real friends. We're just content friends. We've just been paired together.
Friends, yeah.
They stuck us in this apartment, 1203, with a crazy roommate. Charlie, if you're out there, much love, brother. Everyone knows. We were so close to Charlie. But yeah, they put us all in an apartment together. And they said, all right, make content. We are going to push you guys to the limit. We were in a content house. We were in a content house before it was cool, Reed.
Now, who's
we were
there,
the first
you ask?
content house.
Who's they? It's us. We put ourselves in a content house.
Yes, we signed the lease. We put it in there, but it's good. It's kind of fun to make people think like we were forced in there, like Squid Games or something.
Just to make content. I love when you're throwing all these references like content houses and I don't know, Squid Game. I don't think any of these things are even things the last time we talked.
I'm very up to date with pop culture, Reed. I'm a teacher. I'm
hip
up
with
to
the
date.
kids now.
I'm hip with the kids. I mean, they know me. We hang out. We don't hang out, but we're cool. We just whatever. We're just chilling and vibing right here, Reed, and having a good old time, my guy.
And you kind of alluded to that. We were talking about how a lot has happened in our lives, and let's go ahead and start with yourself, Parker. You and I have kind of texted on and off over the past few months as we've kind of been adjusting to it's mostly been on my side. I'm not going to lie. Things has been crazy for me, and I'll get into that as to why here in a minute. But, it's exciting because you are a full-time teacher now. You're not just a sub. You are a full-time, sixth grade teacher?
Sixth grade. Yep. Sixth grade teacher.
How's that going?
Oh, man, it's a lot of work, but once you get past the first I'll say, listen, you got to really make it through this stretch of the first 9 weeks. I got through the first 9 weeks. I got one more set of 9 weeks to go. And then once you get into January, it really is a lot of just preparing for the STAR test and things like that, which if people don't know, if they're out of Texas, STAR testing is like the big test that all the teachers stress about. Once you get back from Christmas, you're kind of just hammering it in. But this stretch right here where you're getting to know the kids, it's a pretty hard stretch. You're setting your rules. You don't want kids to be crazy in your class. And when you're my previous job, I didn't really know how to do any of that. But now that I'm here, I'm kind of closer to family. I've got my own place. I'm in a good spot. I'm about like 40 minutes away from family. But I also got my own place, and it's nice. If you guys can see, this is my background. I didn't just put myself in here. This is actually where I'm living. This is my actual apartment. It's pretty nice.
He's lying. There's a cardboard box behind him, really.
He's
using McDonald's Wi-Fi right now.
This is not, I'm actually in somebody else's home, and we got to hurry this thing up, Reed. But anyway, I could be anywhere. Nobody really knows where I am. This is actually where I moved to. I'm actually in the Capitol building coming at you live, Reed. Nobody really knows. Is he telling the truth? Is he really a teacher? Nobody knows. I don't even exist. We're in a turtle's dream in outer space, Reed. Back to you. Nothing really happened with me. Everything's the same.
You're still the same old Parker Ray, but the Parker Ray we all know and love. And and honestly, as far as sports go, there's definitely a lot to talk about. But in the grand scheme of things are pretty much the same way they were the last time we talked. We got the NFL going on, so we learned a lot more. There's not a whole lot to learn about the Texans. Deshaun Watson still might be a rapist. And I
saw your fantasy name, by the way. You're going your fantasy name.
Yeah, you like that. So every week I
like
I'm changing my name to adjust to my opponent to be their rival. This week I'm playing Parker, so I'm Jack Easterby's Texans or Jack Easterby's Texans.
You're
just to piss Parker off.
You're the worst. You're the worst kind of person. But here's the thing about that, Reed. The thing about that is, God, I don't even know where to start with the Texans. Jack Easterby's Texans. It's kind of turned into a running joke. Just seeing how they can ruin a game. I thought David Coley, first off, the new head coach of the Texans, by the way, David Coley. If you guys don't know, you probably don't know him because he's
Bob's
not good.
gone.
But Bob is gone. Bill O'Brien is gone.
We loved Bob.
And it all connects. Yes, as a Dallas Cowboys fan, I'm sure you love Bob being the coach of the Texans.
Bob was my favorite,
I know.
Man.
I know you guys like butt chin. Everyone liked butt chin except for Texans fans. But I'm telling you, listen, it all connects, Reed. Bill O'Brien, he's not with the Texans anymore. He is with Alabama. Alabama, who recently lost to your Texas A&M Aggies. I think it all connects, Reed. Bill O'Brien is the offensive coordinator for Alabama. I think that's how it all intertwines, and it ends up benefiting you either way. Wherever Bill O'Brien goes, it seems like it always benefits the other teams that's playing against him. So I don't know if Bill O'Brien's main goal is to just ruin teams. He goes into the Texans. He can ruin that franchise. maybe he's the one who's finally going to take down Alabama, Reed. You got to take down Alabama from the inside. You can't do it from the outside.
He's an
Bill
agent.
O'Brien
He's an agent.
is the one to do it.
Don't let Nick find out. He's there for a reason.
No, hopefully Nick Saban's not watching this podcast. But Bill O'Brien needs to stay with Alabama as long as possible because I have a feeling he's going to find their weakness and he's going to magnify it and he's going to blow it up from the inside. He's doing a great job so far.
Oh, and why don't we talk a little bit more about the Texans? And to be honest, back when we were doing the show more regularly, which we're going to get back to doing, and this is kind of the start of that. Just need to. And we've had a lot of people ask about it, which thank y'all for asking and kind of pushing us to get the show going.
Yeah, random people. And you know what? It's funny.
Shout out to David. David was one of the guys who asked me about it, and
shout out David.
You know what? It was kind of that shove I needed to get us going again.
Yeah, people that come up to you. I've had obviously my cousins and things they ask about, but I've had people like someone who my mom works with, a friend that she works with, said, your boy had a pretty good podcast. Why is he not doing any? Just people I meet through Facebook and everything. It's just random people commenting and saying, you really need to get the podcast back going. I really do. If you think about it, Reed, our podcast, we grew a lot. I remember when we were just in our apartment, the 1203, where it all started, recording on a damn phone. We were recording on a damn phone. That's what we were doing. No, I was talking to my cousin.
And we were using a laptop too, where we just set the laptop on your bed in this
dark. I was
just saying,
man, we didn't have anything. We really didn't have anything going for it. Didn't have a lot of money. We didn't really know what we were doing. Most of the time,
21, 22-year-olds.
We just got out there and we started talking, and then people were like, "Wow, this is kind of funny. We really like these guys." And so, I'm just telling people that want to do this kind of stuff. It's really not that difficult. You don't have to worry about getting a lot of equipment and doing this and doing that. I know a lot of people are like, oh, we've got to get the best mics. We got to get the best stuff. No, you just got to be good. You got to be good at talking. You got to find someone you can hang out with and talk to. And I've luckily
even though we don't like each other, we're only here for content. Like we don't.
I know, but for some reason
I don't want anyone to think that.
I don't want anyone to think we're actually friends either, Reed. But I'm saying as far as this meaningful monologue goes, I want to pretend we're friends for 30 more seconds, and then we can go back to shitting on each other as soon as this ends, okay? Let me finish my monologue. It was very meaningful, and you cut me off. Okay, I'm done.
Because you said we were friends.
Okay. Listen, what I meant to say was we do podcasting together, all right? And then we sound good together, all right? We sound good together for podcasting only.
Only. Exclusively.
But at the same time, a lot of people think, oh, it's about the equipment, it's about this. No, it's just about finding someone that you can tolerate for 40 to 45-minute intervals, and then you go on with your life. Every week for 45 minutes, we tolerate each other just enough. And if that's not the beautiful thing about America, Reed, I don't know what is. It tied it all into.
Well said. I think that's a standing round of applause. Well done.
I tied it all into America, man. I'm patriotic.
It's all about America,
patriotic.
But
yeah,
I don't know. It is funny to think about because here we are. 5 years later, you're a full-time teacher. I'm a sports editor for one of the bigger papers in Central Texas.
Really,
and having my first kid here in a couple months. It's exciting. So
Reed, the podcast didn't hear that part. You slid in there. It's a pretty important part.
Oh yeah, we're having our first kid in April. So that's exciting stuff.
Really exciting, buddy.
Wife Jessica is at a band competition today, so that's why I'm allowed to be loud and make the house really loud because she's not here. She's out she's basically a color guard director for the Fredericksburg band. So
Reed, when the kid comes, you might have to find other rooms to be loud in as well because you don't want to ruin those nap times.
No, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to get a podcast office, which it's expensive, so y'all really need to start liking these videos and making sure, guys. We're gonna have to start making some.
Do it for Reed. Reed has a family. Damn it, he's got to feed. Listen, I just have to feed myself. Which really, you guys should do it for me too. You know how hard it is to feed me. Reed has to feed a family. I've got to feed me. It's about the same budget. We need to hurry, guys. Like these videos.
Give us money. Give us your money, or give us views so that we can then make people give us money. That's the goal. But
yeah, that's really what it comes down to: is money and fame and glory and
they having a family and friends. Like that's the only reason you were here. You and I are here and doing this podcast. We really don't like each other, like we've said. We've
money just happens
to make money.
We're just trying to make money. We're just trying to live our life and be as successful as we can.
And you were like, hey, I know that we hate each other and all, but like if we make a podcast, we might be able to make some money. And you were like, yeah. But the only way you can do that is if we live together with a random lacrosse player and record.
And that was a good idea too.
Bringing in
Charlie.
Charlie was a crucial part. I don't mean to crap on Charlie. I don't know what he's up to anymore, but and then he left.
Charlie was an important piece.
So
hey, you know what? We need to start diving into some. Well, we can do that in another episode. But there was some funny stories about us actually living together for that year that I think the podcast would definitely enjoy, especially our new viewers.
We could do a podcast just on that. It's just talking about college and some of the dumb stuff that we got up to. But on the real, it is really cool to see where a close friend of mine, Parker Ray, has gone in his life and where we both are at this point. It's cool. It's cool to see. And the coolest part about it is here we are, 4 or 5 years later, we're still doing this podcast. So.
And we're still chugging along. We're still
chugging
there's
something special about that, but
anyway. We're still staying together. And we're still chugging along through life. And like you said, man, it's not always easy to. We see a lot of our friends kind of diverge on tracks that maybe they shouldn't be on. So it's kind of cool that we're trying to stay and do it the right way, which I think a lot of people, not to brag, but a lot of people could learn from. Just trying to do things the right way. You know, there's no shortcut in life. You have to work hard. At the end of the day, it's hard. It's hard to be an adult. You got to work at it. You got to keep striving every day. So I think we're both doing a good job.
Now, I know a lot of y'all are here because the caption is about Carlos Correa. You're here to hear us talk about the Astros. If nobody got me, my boy Tuck got me. But we're going to get to that here in a couple minutes. But there's a lot of other things. Like we said, we haven't talked to each other, and I guess it's been like 3 months. And so we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to start with college football. We got a comment from some random bum on the internet, Nando390. Astros cheated and are probs still cheating. Well, buddy, I don't know what to tell you. If you're still hung up on that in 2022, 2021, get over it, man. Everyone's cheating. Like, I don't know what to tell you. We've been over this. If you really want to hear us talk about the cheating scandal, you can go about 10 episodes back. Be my guest. If you're going to sit here and talk about cheating, you're in the wrong sport. I hate to break it to you. Anyway, moving on. Not going to give you any time of day.
He clicked on our podcast just to comment that. I just think it's funny. It's funny.
Okay, if you want to hear my take on the cheating thing, you can go about 10, 15 episodes back. We've been there. We've done that. And I'm not going to waste my time on you. Anyway, let's move into some college football. Aggies take down Alabama. What a big win for A&M football. It just felt like they needed to figure out who they were with Calzada. That's been the biggest thing. The first instance we saw it was against the Arkansas Razorbacks, and we saw what this Aggie offense looks like with Zach Calzada, and they were still figuring it out. I mean, Calzada's a very different quarterback from Haynes King. Haynes King's a mobile, make things happen after the snap of the ball when things break down. Calzada's going to sit in the pocket and make a lot of throws. I've been very critical of Calzada, and he showed me a lot of things in that Bama game. And I don't want to spend too long on this because we have a lot to get to, but that's awesome for the Aggies. They're taking care of Missouri today. So good job for the Aggies. Arkansas, they come into A&M. They beat up the Aggies pretty handedly and look like a top 10 team, and then the wheels fall off. What's wrong with the Razorbacks?
Well, I'll tell you, it's like the trajectory, whatever it's called, the trajectory of the teams have kind of gone in opposite directions. You see, when A&M and Arkansas played, I believe Arkansas was almost a top. I mean, after they beat A&M, they became a top 10 team. I think they were like number 8 in the country, which is the first time in a long time Arkansas has been that high. A&M lost that game, and then all of a sudden A&M started winning, started gaining momentum. Ever since the Arkansas game, they kind of started finding themselves, and Arkansas has kind of gone away from what got them to the dance. I mean, let's think about Arkansas. When you think about it, you think about Arkansas. A&M, to me, has always been a complete team. They've always had good passing quarterbacks, in my opinion. They've always had a pretty solid defense. They've had talent. Arkansas has always had to rely on a good run game and solid defense. Well, they got away from that stuff. You look at the Ole Miss game, they gave up 52 points. They had a chance to win that game. Their offense kind of went crazy, but still, they gave up a lot of points. So my whole point of that is, when you're an Arkansas football team and you're giving up a lot of points like that, that's not the Arkansas way. Arkansas way is defense, pressuring the other team, chewing clock, running the football, having a quarterback like KJ Jefferson who can actually run the football, which let's give him props. I mean, KJ Jefferson is the first Arkansas quarterback in a long time that's actually looked like he belongs in an Arkansas uniform.
Yeah, he was legit,
especially
against A&M. I mean, he was a playmaker, and you could tell that Arkansas had a guy who had been there and knew what he was doing, and A&M was working with a guy who just didn't know. He knew the offense, but he didn't have the chemistry with the players and the receivers. And shout out to Arkansas. That was the best I've ever seen Arkansas play, was in that A&M game, and they looked like a very good quality football team.
And let's give and so A&M beats out Alabama, which is huge. And that really opens up, when you look at it, Reed, that opens up the SEC West, because right now Auburn is playing a close game against Arkansas. Arkansas looking like they may lose that one too. It's 31-23. But then you go to the what I was looking at, the LSU football game. They were playing Florida, and that game looked like it was close too. Right now it's 42-35. LSU is beating the Florida Gators, the number 20 team in the nation. So right now the SEC is kind of like, oh shit, especially the SEC West. It's like, I think it's really up for grabs. A&M did everyone else in the SEC West a favor by saying, oh, Alabama is beatable. You guys can do it. We beat Alabama. You guys can do it too. We're all SEC teams. We're all really good programs. Let's stop cowering to Alabama. SEC is an historic conference, and Texas and UT and Oklahoma are about to find out how tough the SEC really is when they join up. But I don't think they want anything to do with, because I was talking to my buddy, even a lower level SEC team is pretty damn good, would probably be a top team in any other conference. So let's stop shitting on these lower level SEC teams. I know Arkansas was always the brunt of everybody's jokes until you had to play Arkansas, and it was like, oh shit, these guys are hitting me in the mouth. This is not fun. So it's just funny to me how the SEC, the lower level teams, always got shitted on by, oh, what's your team? Oh yeah, you have a Conference USA team. Oh, you're like the ACC. Like, come on, dude, chill out. You're not that good. Why are you talking shit? So that's how I always been. So A&M did everyone a favor by saying, oh, the Aggies, they're still a good team. They can still beat Alabama. Alabama is beatable. So it might be a fun rest of the season.
Absolutely. We have some people in the comments. Thank y'all for joining the show. We love when anybody stops by. We especially love it when y'all talk to us. But I'm going to have to put someone in their place. Eli0626, thanks for watching the show, man. He commented, Astros cheated against the White Sox. Now, there's a lot of issues with this comment here. Okay, so first off, let's start with this. We play in Minute Maid. Houston puts up pretty good numbers. I'm going to pull up the series right now. I don't want to give you wrong information. I want to make sure that I give you the right numbers because I don't want to give you misinformation. So let's pull up the Chicago White Sox series real quick.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get
if
that
it'll
too.
Pull up. Here we go. It's pulling up now. All right, so here we are. In Game 1, we play in Houston. Astros win 6-1. Game 2, we're in Houston. Astros win 9-4, right? Now, here's the thing about this. And let's go ahead and start with the Ryan Tepera situation. The relief pitcher for the Chicago White Sox, who after Game 3, which is when we went back to Chicago, we're in Chicago, and Chicago wins that game 12-6, right? So Astros score 6 runs in Game 1. 9 runs in game 2, 6 in Game 3. Pretty average. I mean, they're averaging, I guess, about all year long, they average somewhere between 5 to 7 runs per game. Right? I don't know the exact stat, but it's something like that. Ryan Tepera insinuates after Game 3 that the Houston Astros were still cheating at home. That's what he says, something to the effect of, we know that they do some shady stuff there, and blah, 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 right? Here's the issue with that. If you go to the Houston Astros season stats, and I was looking at this the other day, and you're trying to say the Astros cheated home. Okay, that's what you're insinuating. Just saying the Astros cheated home, and that's how we feel about that situation. Here's the issue with that. The Astros are a better road offensive team than they are a home offensive team. In fact, their OPS is higher on the road, and they average about just a little bit over. Their batting average is just a little bit higher on the road, and I'm trying to pull up the stats right now.
Well, while you do that, Reed,
so
I'm going to let you do that. While I'm going to help you out here so you can pull up the stats. So these guys are coming on here commenting, whatever. let them comment. But my whole point is like kind of what you're saying. I was listening to sports radio in Houston the other day, and it was before the Boston series. It was some guy from Boston came into the Houston radio, and he called in, and he was a radio guy for Boston. He said, well, I don't think Houston, I mean, they're just going to get brutalized by this Fenway crowd. They're going to see flesh in the water. They're going to see blood in the water. They're going to come out. And then the Houston guys turned it back on him and said, well, has Boston gotten any crap for cheating? Because they cheated too. In 2018, the Red Sox and Alex Cora, by the way, who was the ringleader of the whole thing, Alex Cora and Carlos Beltran, for whatever reason, hasn't caught a lot of grief. And let's dive even further. George Springer, the World Series MVP, since leaving the Astros and going to the Toronto Blue Jays, hasn't really caught a lot of grief either. Here's what it comes down to, Reed, is certain teams aren't catching grief. The team that's catching grief is the Houston Astros, because the Houston Astros are good. The Houston Astros have players that are confident and are good, and they did it the right way. They didn't trade a lot of players. They built the team the right way, the way it's supposed to be, a lot like the San Antonio Spurs. And I got to admit, for a team from the outside, always being second best to San Antonio or third best, always seeing, when I was a Houston Rockets fan, I would always see the San Antonio Spurs. I'm like, where are they finding these guys? These guys, they're just a dynasty. They're winning every year. They're going to the playoffs. They're doing this. They're doing that. It made you really hate a team that was successful. Same thing with the New England Patriots. I hated the Patriots because they were successful. I think whoever is talking all this crap about the Astros is because their team sucks. Their team's at home. They've got nothing better to do except talk crap about the Astros. So they need to grow up and get over it, because the Astros aren't going anywhere. 5 straight years they've been to the ALCS. I don't care what they're doing to get there. That's hard to do. And the evidence proves that other teams have been doing same kind of stuff like this too. So it's baseball. Get over it. Well, find another hobby. You're coming on here and being stupid, not knowing the facts, like Carlos Correa said. If you don't know the facts,
let me throw the facts out there. So we've got Ela. By the way, Nando, I appreciate you joining us. Until you get rid of Altuve, Correa, Bregman, people will always troll in that cheating scandal. Here, I appreciate you guys talking baseball. We appreciate you coming by, Nando. But here's the thing. Here's the issue with that. Altuve is literally proven to not have used the cheating scandal. There's a report out there. They go through every single at bat. The people have done extensive research, and they go through and they'll find every single time there's a bang. There is like a tiny percentage of those bangs happening in Altuve's at bats. He did not use the system. So an educated baseball fan takes Altuve out of the equation. But they don't want to, because Altuve is the best player on the Astros.
And here's another reason, Reed, before you continue.
Altuve is good. And so they want to hate on Altuve. Is the one that hits the clutch homers. He's the guy that sits on the Chapman slider. They don't want to accept that Altuve is just good at baseball.
That little clip of the press conference is all they go off of. That's the same thing with the Boston sports guy, who, by the way, the guy in Boston, he was a big-time radio in Boston guy calling into Houston saying all this stuff. And so he's supposed to be credible, but he comes in and he says the reason people hate Altuve and Bregman is because they go off that short little press conference that Altuve and Bregman did, because I'm not letting Jim Crane off the hook either. Jim Crane marched his players out there and said, okay, apologize. And so those guys were like, Altuve, a guy who didn't even do anything wrong, is looking around like, really? You're going to send me out there? I mean, it's just funny to me how Jim Crane kind of hid behind his players and instead of accepting responsibility. But anyway, that's what happened, Reed. They focused on Altuve and Bregman because both those guys are very good and they're the future of the team. And also, they were the guys that Jim Crane put out there and said, here, they were the first 2 guys everyone saw. Altuve was first, and then Bregman came second. Nobody focuses on any of the other players.
Well, and for some reason. And Eli Zero points out saying Altuve is the ringleader. This is completely false. In fact, as someone who has studied the situation very closely, because I'm an Astros fan who wants to defend it, Carlos Beltran was the ringleader of the whole thing. He was a veteran who wanted to get a ring. And
a simple Google search shows that.
Him and Alex Cora were the 2 that set the whole operation up, and they were the ones using it the most. J.D. Davis, who's now with the Mets, was one of the guys using it a lot. I think Marwin Gonzalez, who's also now back with Houston, and he's a legend, but at the same time, I'm not going to deny that the Astros cheated in 2017, but you have zero evidence, and it's not happening anymore. It's just, you honestly think the team that is in this giant cheating scandal is still going to cheat and think they can get away with it. Come on, get over it. But anyway, I want to go back to what I was getting at. So your initial content, Eli, your initial comment is Astros cheated against the White Sox. And you're probably fueled by what Ryan Tepera said, I would assume. Ryan Tepera comes out saying the Astros are cheating at home. Chicago in 2021 had a .253 batting average as a team at home. Their on the road. So when they're not at I forget the name of their stadium, but when they're not at home, their batting average is 7 points lower than it is on the road at a .260. Their on base percentage dropped by 20 points. Their slugging dropped by 40 points, and their OPS dropped by 60 points. So you're telling me that the Chicago White Sox are the ones talking crap, saying the Astros are better at home than they are on the road because they cheat at home. Meanwhile, they are literally a 60-point better team at home than on the road. That's pretty sketchy. And a lot of teams tend to be better at home than on the road. And I'm not trying to point fingers at Chicago, but if Chicago wants to point fingers at Houston, they need to check themselves. Because the Houston Astros have a better OPS. They're at this past season. Their OPS at home was 7 points higher than it was on the road. They had a better batting average on the road, and they had the exact same slugging as on the road and at home. So they're the same team at home than they are on the road. But the White Sox are significantly better at home than they are on the road. Significantly. They hit for more power at home. They get on base more. They walk more. And the White Sox are the ones saying the Astros are cheating at home. Are we sure about that? So what Carlos Correa's whole issue was if Ryan Tepera is going to come talk crap, he needs to know the stats and to know that the fact that Chicago White Sox are significantly better at home than they are on the road, whereas the Astros are just as good, if not better, on the road. So if that's what you're gonna hang your hat on, and that's what your evidence is for the Astros still cheating, you're an idiot and you're wrong, and you need better facts.
And if you're stupid enough to think they were using some kind of device on the road to cheat, I got to tell you something about that too. There's no way they could set up a cheating thing without the White Sox knowing about it. If they go into a visiting stadium and cheat, the visitors are going to know about it. They're going to have to help them set up the cameras and crap. So it can only work at home. And as Reed just pointed out, the numbers don't support what you're saying. So just know the facts. The White Sox scored, 4 runs in Minute Maid. They come back home to Chicago, and they scored 12 runs. They dropped 12 runs.
12 runs. They scored, where is it? I just had it pulled up. They scored in the first 2 games of the series combined. They scored 5 runs. They go home and they drop a 12-piece, and then after that game, they go and say the Astros are cheating at home? Are you kidding? Tepera needs to shut his damn mouth and play baseball. He goes in the game, and in Game 4, gives up a run, and then I'm sure he went home striking his pride and, those cheating Astros got me again. No, dude, they're better at you than baseball. Simple as that. And the guys that you pointed out, Altuve, Correa, and Bregman, are some of the best players in the league with or without the cheating scandal. In fact, another statistic that people don't realize, in that report where they broke down which swings they used the bang and which they didn't, the Astros had a worse batting average on pitches where they knew what the pitch was coming than they did where they didn't. They were better players without the cheating scandal. So anytime you try to say that the Astros are only good because they cheated, it's flat out false. That Altuve, Correa, and Bregman are 3 of the premier players in the league. And you can troll on them all you want. At the end of the day, cheating is a league-wide issue. You can see it with the pitching scandal that went on this past year. It's the same situation, the exact same situation. It's a league-wide issue. The difference is the Astros were used as a scapegoat in 2017. Why do you think Boston was busted the very next year for the same shit? They're using an Apple Watch to cheat. Same shit. Every team's doing it. Astros were used as a scapegoat. That's all I'm saying on that. We're moving on. Actually, my first point was F Chicago, and I still stand by that. But thank you all for coming to the show and firing us up.
I want to add to exactly. This is fun now. I want to add to Tepera. He attended Brazos Wood High School, which is in the Houston area. He actually was born in Houston, Texas. And he went to Sam Houston State. That's where he graduated from. Dude, don't shit where you eat, man. Don't shit where you eat. You got to come home at some point. You got to come home and you got to come see mom and dad at some point. You got to come home at some point, buddy. So I'm just saying, Houston fans don't forget. They don't forget. So you got to come home at some point. That's all I'm saying.
And they're the best fans in baseball. I also want to add
that.
Nando,
let's look at Minute Maid Park, how loud it was.
I want the Astros to beat the Red Sox, by the way. And it's funny because this is if you really want to think about it, this is a series between two cheaters, right? The two teams that got busted for some form of cheating scandal. But like I alluded to earlier, most teams have some form of sign stealing happening. But it is what it is. I'm not going to keep beating that drum. But yeah, I mean, the Red Sox are a pretty solid team. Enrique Hernandez, it turns into a different player when you get to the playoffs. Also a former Astro, by the way. So it's been a fun series to watch so far. I really like Kiki Hernandez. He was kind of annoying when he was with LA, but it's just because that LA mindset. I just anything that comes out. I like Justin Turner, and that's pretty much all I can stand from the Dodgers. But it's been a fun series. I don't think the Red Sox can play with the Astros, and I think last night proves it. The Astros don't even get to throw their ace, and they relied to a guy who I guess he was like a third year. Framber, this is like his third year. He's a young guy, and they're still able to find a way to win the ball game because they got those clutch Correa and Altuve, guys that have been there before, and whether you like it or not, are damn good at baseball. And
Boston
is
best
just clutch hitters of all time.
And Boston's got, I mean, let's face it, Boston's got a lot of the same problems Houston's got. The only difference is, I think, motivation speaking, and I think if you think about it, the motivation is very high for Houston. They've got home field advantage. I think that's a big difference for them. They've got players that are still trying to prove themselves since the whole thing happened. So there's just a lot of motivation on the side of Houston. And Boston is kind of just, we got past the Rays. We're happy to be here, man. We beat the Rays. Nobody thought we were going to beat the Rays. We did it. They're kind of already celebrating the fact they beat the Rays. Did you notice, Reed, after the ALDS, the celebration for Houston?
Humbug, yeah.
It wasn't even like a celebration. It was like, another day at the office.
Yeah.
I
mean, they know what their goal is.
We have higher expectations in Houston right now. So this is all beneath us, a lot of this stuff. I will say this, though, Joe Buck. We got Joe Buck again, Reed. We're in Fox. We got Joe Buck calling the game. I think what he does, since he's a football guy, I think he just picks one name out of the hat, and he just studies that one name. So for this series, it's going to be Kiki Hernandez. I don't know what the over-under is on him saying Kiki Hernandez, Kiki Hernandez, Kiki Hernandez. Well, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be this guy, this guy. Yes, he's a good player. It was the same thing with Juan Soto. It was the same thing with Aaron Judge. When we played the
Juan Soto. Sean Shannon in the chat. My boy, 2019 World Series. Yeah, y'all got us that time.
Yeah, got us that time, bud. But
like you're saying, Juan Soto was in that series, and I still know how old he was that year because I heard it a billion times.
Juan Soto, and then Kiki Hernandez now.
Yes.
Aaron Judge. There was just so many. He only studies one name. He only studies the one name each time. So I think that's his repertoire. He's just going to keep going back to the well.
Buck crap talking that's happening in the chat right now.
Look, it all set off. Yeah, Joe Buck sucks. Joe Buck sucks. Everybody knows it.
It's funny because
he's got a big forehead.
You'll watch replays of the Astros highlights, and it'll be the Joe Buck version. And he goes, and so the Altuve slider last year or a couple years ago, it was like Altuve gets into that one, and that one's gone. And then you go to the Astros radio broadcast, and he's losing his mind.
It's over. It's over. It's over. Yeah, you get Robert Ford, our Steve Sparks. A good one last time was Steve Sparks calling the. Steve Sparks was calling the Correa
Joe Buck.
The Correa home run. It was so much different. It was like, it's time. It's Correa time. He was just going off. And Joe Buck was trying to figure out, well, what is Correa pointing to? Is he pointing to a watch? What does that mean? He didn't even know.
He was trying to speculate.
He's only studied for Kike Hernandez. That's all he knows.
Yeah, he knows
this one guy.
If Kike does anything, he's got it covered, and he'll be excited. Yeah. He'll be ecstatic, and he'll be ready to celebrate.
This is how it was. The roof was closed. There was hardly any wind at all. Kike Hernandez almost overruns a pop fly. It was a pop fly in the outfield. Kike's running to grab it, almost overruns it, almost drops the ball, and Joe Buck's like, there must be a breeze in here. I think there's a draft. Kike would have never overran a ball like that. And they look up, and the flags aren't even moving. The roof is closed. And Joe Buck and John Smoltz is like, well, I think the roof is closed today, sir. Or I think the roof is closed. And he's like, yeah, it might be closed now or something. It was just so stupid.
I like this idea, but from I think is it Nando or Nando? You might have to correct me on that. They should just let the teams have their own broadcasters, and outside cities can have Joe Buck. So like, so like if you're
in the Houston market,
if you're like in the Houston market, you get
Todd Callis and
Jeff Blum. And then if you're like watching from, let's say Chicago, who's salty about losing in the ALDS,
you have to get Joe Buck.
Series,
that's your punishment. You have to listen to Joe Buck because your team sucks. I love that. So your punishment for your team sucking is Joe Buck. An eternity of Joe Buck. God, if you're a Rangers fan, you're always going to be listening to Joe Buck. You're never going to get your own team. I just thought of that, Reed. It made me sad. But I'm not really that sad because, screw those guys. But
good old Joe Buck.
Here they have a hockey team, so maybe they'll do good. They've got a good football team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott, Dakota. Which we were going to talk about him, and then we got heated about the White Sox series, which I'm glad we did. There was a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about we haven't gotten to because we haven't done the show at all. But man,
his name really is Dakota.
I'm really looking forward to the rest of this series, and I guess Game 2 is starting here in about 30 minutes, so we need to wrap up before that one gets started.
Yep.
Sean proposes whoever finishes with the worst record gets a Joe Buck. So the Rangers get Joe Buck all year long. I think that's pretty fair.
That's fair for both of them.
He fits. He's there all the time for Dallas anyway for the Cowboys. He may as well.
Yeah, he should just kind of live in Arlington. That should be his place. That should be where he lives.
It's, him and Troy Aikman are like okay enough for football, but him.
And here's the thing about Troy.
Atrocious.
Troy doesn't know. Like John Smoltz was actually kind of correcting him because John Smoltz, he knows baseball. He knows
baseball, and he's impartial.
Troy Aikman is over there. I mean, he's concussed. I mean, I think he's just looking at Joe like, oh, yeah.
I'm pretty good, Joe. Cowboy. Dak did just throw for 440 yards and 4 touchdowns. But
he isn't like me.
He could have done better.
Yeah. Oh, he's always going to be critical of Dak. That's 100%.
Oh, he hated Tony.
Yeah.
He hated Tony. Got a good question from Nando. Do you think Correa goes to the Yankees next year? Man, I will probably quit watching baseball if Carlos Correa is in the pinstripes in 3 months. That would
Here's a good point.
Stop watching baseball. I don't know, man. I'm still very optimistic that the Astros chop up the money to pay him. Because if you don't sign Correa, man, it sure feels like the window's closed. You watch the Astros. You watch the Astros play, and it's so clearly obvious that he's the leader of that team, and that team goes when Correa goes. And if Correa walks, you're really. I mean, when you lost Springer, Springer was the battery, the life.
Springer was the Energizer Bunny for the team.
Yeah, but you can replace that. I think Jose Siri's done a good job at that. He has a lot of energy that he plays with, and some of these other young outfielders have kind of brought new life to the outfield. But losing a guy like Correa, the guy who's not afraid to talk to the media and call out opposing teams, and will be that like force, like, hey, he'll be the one with the thick skin to just take all the shit from guys like Eli Zero and stuff like that. And
here's the real question.
You have to sign Correa.
Is his name? I don't even see the name. Is it Nando? Fernando? What's his name?
I don't know. Nando? He's been a great viewer.
All right. Listen here, Lando Calrissian. I'm about to tell you something, bud. If Carlos Correa, listen here, big old Nando. Let me tell you something, bud. I don't see
we're
your
getting
name.
racist.
Sorry.
I didn't know we had crossed that line.
We
usually do at some point in the show.
Who said what? I didn't know I was being that. I just said Big Nando. He may be a woman. I don't know. You could be a woman, sir. I don't know.
I think the profile picture is 2 dogs, 2 cute looking dogs.
Oh, 2 cute little doggies. Listen here, Lando. So here's what I'm going to say.
Right?
Carlos Correa, if he goes to another team, they're going to love him. They're going to absolutely love him. They're going to forget. They're going to automatically forget about all the sins he's committed as soon as he goes to another team. And I guarantee that's part of the problem is, he's a cheater when he's on the Astros, but when he's off the Astros, we love him so much. We're so happy. We're going to pay him all this money. A-Rod, who's the big-time Yankees guy, said that Carlos Correa might be the first $400 million player. Now, I don't know if he's going to get that much, but A-Rod publicly made that comment. I think he was trying to stir the pot a little bit because there's only a few teams out there that can pay someone that kind of money. So I think it comes down to the Yankees. I think it comes down to a really big market team The same big market teams that love to shit on Correa and the Astros are going to be the same teams that pay him. How funny is that? To me, I find that hilarious.
No, I 100% agree, and I do agree with Nando said. If he has a crazy postseason, the Astros need to fork up the cash. I think he's already proven himself to be worthy of that cash.
He just gave the Astros a lead last game. I mean,
he's
the
done it time
Astros
and time
don't
again.
win.
He did it in
the
2019.
Astros don't win last night without Correa hitting.
They don't. They don't.
Well,
make
and
it to 5
Altuve
straight.
came up big too, but Correa definitely.
Well, Altuve is a very quiet leader. I mean, he's such a genuinely good human being, and
which is why he gets more. It almost sounds like Correa gets more shit than. I mean, Altuve gets more shit than Correa does.
Altuve gets more shit than Correa, even though Correa's about that smoke.
Yeah.
And Altuve just kind of keeps to himself. He's not about the drama. He didn't even participate in the cheating scandal, yet people still love to target him. But Correa's about that life. Like, and whenever it keeps me back to the Joe Kelly. By the way, if y'all haven't seen our Joe Kelly episode, that's a good one. But the Joe Kelly thing, like Carlos Correa was like taking his gloves off, walking towards the Dodgers bench by himself. Like, let's fucking go. Like, let's do it. And not many guys are like that. And Correa's like that. And you have to keep guys like that around, especially when they're as elite of baseball players as Carlos Correa is. I mean, look, I'm not buying into the Astros a small market crap. We sell out almost every single game. We're the fourth biggest city in this. I don't want to get exactly. I think we're one of the biggest cities in the entire country. We have four.
We're the fourth largest city in the country.
We have four professional teams in Houston alone. I don't buy the small market crap. You can pay Carlos Correa. I don't give a damn about the luxury tax. Look, when you've got a guy like this, as generational, on this show we've talked about with Correa. We need him to prove it, right? We've always said, hey, he's always gotten hurt. He's never put up these big MVP type seasons. And well, now he's done it, right? He's led you to 5 straight ALCS. He hits close to 30 home runs. He's one of your best offensive players this year. He's a Gold Glover at shortstop. He makes crazy plays look routine. He's proven that he's that guy. And we've always said we need him to prove it before we pay him. Well, now he's done that. He's the vocal leader of the team. There is literally zero excuse to not pay him. It's simple as that. And if they don't pay him, it's going to hurt the Astros fan base a lot. Like, people are going to stop watching. Simple as that. Because if you don't pay Correa, you're not showing us you're committed to winning, if that makes sense. That's kind of where I'm at on the Correa situation.
The Astros are worth $1.87 billion, Reed.
You can give him like 10% of that, and we're good.
$1.87 billion.
Owner, and just move on.
And Jim Crane is by far the richest owner. Jim Crane's by far the richest owner Houston's ever seen. So he's like in charge of like a big logistics company. So he's got the money. I mean, he can do it. I heard on the radio that he was at the Diamond Club talking to some, because a lot of the people on the radio, they all kind of talk to each other. So on the sports radio in Houston, one of the stations, they were sitting at the Diamond Club, and one of the guys was kind of joking with Jim Crane about, oh, here's $100. Go help me pay Correa. And Jim Crane just kind of looked at him and said, it's okay. I got it. I don't need your help. So maybe Jim Crane's got an idea. Hopefully Jim Crane. Jim Crane's a pretty quiet guy, but he's got money. We know that.
Yeah. Well, and he's said that he's going to go after Correa. Yeah. So anyway, let's talk a little bit more about today's game before we send it off to today. And I also wanted to run an idea by you, Parker, and we'll talk about it at the end of the show.
I don't run. Can you toss it to me?
I'll gently walk it by you. How about that?
Okay, because if it gets past me, it's gone forever.
Okay, well, we'll get there in a second. Today's game starts at 3:20. It's game 2 in Houston. Nate Eovaldi is pitching for Boston. He's always been good in the postseason. He's a flamethrower.
Another Texas boy from
sure
Alvin, Texas.
To say after the game, he'll probably talk crap. Anyway, Luis Garcia, the Rookie of the Year candidate, is starting for Houston. I like that matchup. We got some comments from Nando. He says he thinks the Astros blows out the Sox tonight. I sure hope so. He said the Red Sox bullpen is trash. Take out the starting pitcher and it's over. I don't even know. I'd never even heard of that Sawamura guy. I'd never heard of him ever. I didn't know who he was. And then he looked like a what's the guy who does the Gangnam Style song? Kind of looked like him. Like he was just like.
I'm starting to like Nando. He's coming around. That Eli guy though. Eli needs to shut it.
Yeah, Eli. You should hit the subscribe button, Eli. and then shove it up
subscribe
your ass.
and then just shove it up your whole ass.
Maybe we converted him. Who knows? And then,
Maybe he likes us now.
Fans yelling Yankees suck at A-Rod is hilarious. Yes and no. I mean, look, Yankees fans are like the worst fan base in baseball, and I don't think anyone's going to question that. They're a bunch of terrible human beings. I really don't want the Astros to stoop to that level. I'd kind of like the Astros being this team that's kind of like, you could throw all the shit you want at us, and we're still going to go out there, whoop your ass on the field, shake your hand, and then go on to the next team. And that's pretty much what they did to the White Sox. So, I don't know. It should be a fun game. My expectations for tonight, I wouldn't be shocked to see Boston get one, but Houston's tough to beat at home, man. They get those fans rocking. They close the roof, and those pitchers feed off of that, and it'll be a good game. I mean, Boston's tough. They're younger. They have a younger Boston team from what they usually have. I mean, they're leaning on guys like Rafael Devers and just some other kids that haven't been in this position before.
Yeah, Boston's definitely going to be tough, and I'm not blowing anything. I'm not trying to look past Boston. I see a lot of problems potentially in the next round with the Dodgers because I think that's who's
go Braves. I really don't want to deal with them.
I really don't want to have to deal with the Dodgers.
But I don't want to deal with them. They're going to be annoying.
The Red Sox are basically a younger, less experienced version of the Astros. Basically, I mean, they have a lot of potential.
I think they're pitching, but yeah,
they don't have the pitching. I think the Astros. I mean, right now, if you look at the Astros, they're kind of struggling with pitching too. Both teams left like 100 runners on base last night. Reed, it was incredible.
Yeah, Brantley alone left like 6. It was a really bad night for my Uncle Mike.
So it's just one of those series. It could be high scoring. It could not be. This is going to be the tough game for the Astros right here. I know going to Fenway, honestly, if you go up 2-0, you only need to win one of the games in Fenway, but they're probably going to end up winning more than that. But I'm just saying this game 2 right here, if the Astros lose this one today, which is with Luis Garcia on the mound, could happen. I don't know. This might be the game the Red Sox still in Minute Maid. So the Astros need to be careful.
Yeah, well, I think we need to win this one to really make the rest of the series easier on us, kind of like we did in Chicago.
We can still win the series if we lose tonight or today, but this is the game. The Red Sox, they've got their ace on the mound. We've got Garcia. It could be some trouble.
And let's finish it up and segues well into what I want to end the show on. Nando asks, you guys picking an Astros-Dodgers fall classic? Sure feels destined, doesn't it? I mean,
that's what I think.
If the Giants weren't going to beat the Dodgers, I really don't see Atlanta doing it. I hope they do. Obviously, I'd much rather face Atlanta in the World Series, but I think LA takes care of Atlanta. And then, of course, we're going to have all the drama that comes with that World Series rematch, which I'm not dreading facing the Dodgers because I don't think we can beat them. I'm dreading it because of all the drama that's going to come with it. I don't want to deal with it. It's been such a dramatic year, but it's probably what it's going to end up being. And that'll be a really fun series, but it'll just be exhausting. And I already have so much of my life wearing me out. I don't need the Dodgers adding on to that, But yeah, and it'll be an interesting thing to see. Astros in 5, I think. I'll give Boston 1. That's kind of where I'm at. I could see it going 6. If it goes 7, I don't want 7, but because 7 could get scary. But I think the Astros will win it in 5 or 6. I'm gonna go ahead and call 6. I think Boston will take 2. I think they're a good enough team to get 2 games before they just run out of gas. But before we finish it off, because I know we're coming up on first pitch here in about 40 minutes, Parker, I wanted to throw something by you, and I figured we'd do it live while we have some people watching so they can get ready for it. I was thinking about finding a way to put together an Astros World Series watch party, a digital watch party. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but would you be down for that? I think that'd be good. We've done watch parties before here on Old Main, and they've done fairly well. I think that'd be a fun concept.
I think it was one of the coolest things we did when we had the watch party. We put it on Facebook. It was for something else completely different. I think it may have been.
It was a World Series game. It was
a World Series game. Okay, so we were just reacting.
It was like game 2 or game 3.
Yeah, well, because in the 2019 World Series we didn't really do it, but the 2017 when we did, that was fun. I really did enjoy the watch party concept. So yeah, if the Astros get back, when they get back to the World Series, I think we should do it.
All right, well, Nando, thanks for tuning in. He says, all right, guys, good talking baseball. I'm going to get some brews and watch the game with my wife's boyfriend now. I don't know about that situation, but best of luck with that. And we will hope you watch again. We had enjoyed chatting with you. Thanks again for tuning into the 1203. I need to get my outro queued up. And Parker, it was great catching up with you. I know we joked earlier that we dislike each other, but, it's pretty cool that we're still doing this show all these years later.
Yeah, but take care, Ryan.